Hello there. Well, I've just got back from a little trip out with my support worker, and I saw a sight whilst out walking that was almost perfect. There was this poor gentleman, didn't look in very good condition. Um, he was sort of shaking, ranting, raving, and someone calls an ambulance. The ambulance arrives. The ambulance crew are extremely professional, just ask him exactly what's wrong, what he needs. No mention is made of maybe calling police because of drug involvement, which would be understandable, considering what the guy looked like and his general condition. But there was no even mention of that. Everything was kept professional, everything was kept medical, and he was just put in the back of the ambulance and driven off. I wonder how differently that scene would have played out in America. I see day by day these stories coming out of these people who are thrown out of hospitals for trespassing because they can't afford the bill to stay in the hospital, or people having heart attacks in the middle of the street and being asked for their credit card details whilst dying, which you may call that hyperbole, but that is actually based on somebody's actual experience. My brother's godfather, who is a union man, he teaches union man, and he spends a lot of time going over to the US on holiday and to let American teacher unions know they're not alone. They're being persecuted across the world thanks to the right. So he said that he was talking. He ran into an elderly British couple, and the guy said, well, last time he was over there, he did actually start having a heart attack, and was actually, and when they came to help him, they started rumbling around his wallet for his credit card, and that's sickening. The scenes like this scene, this beautiful scene of the British welfare state in action, with NHS paramedics on scene, talking him through what's going on. Do you need help? Will we? Do you think we should take you in? Asking all the questions in a completely medical manner. There's no sort of criminality involved, whereas the automatic assumption, even a lot of time in Britain, when you see someone like that, would be some kind of drugs, and they've got some kind of problem. There's some kind of illegal drug taking going on, which is rather irritating. As I've said before, I'm for legalisation and regulation, so that's another argument entirely. But the fact that they were so professional and they just got him in the ambulance and drove off, it was a really hard thing. There was one little thing wrong with this picture. On the side of the ambulance was this placard celebrating 60 years of the biggest benefit cheat in this country. In fact, the only real benefit cheat in this country. This particularly undeservedly wealthy inbred ingrate has, and her rather over-large family, have been cheating the British taxpayer out of literally millions for 60-odd years. Her name's Elizabeth Saxa Coburg Gotha, or as some people like to call her, the Queen. it just brought home to me that for all we Brits can go on about, oh yeah, we've got a National Health Service, we've got socialised medicine, we've got proper benefit support. Well, we still have a major problem in this country, and the Queen may not necessarily be the be-all end-all problem, but she's symbolic of the problem. Often I hear the American left, or what the Americans call the left, which we call the centre-right, they go on about the fact they now have this these sort of family dynasties setting up. Try having had these family dynasties hanging around for some 1,000 years and come back to us. I've said before, and I'll say it again, we've got a Prime Minister who's not that distantly related to the Queen. We have the so-called Common Kate, who's actually a millionaire's daughter. We've got so many things wrong with our establishment and it being an aristocracy. It is an aristocracy. The titles may have vanished, but the same inbred twats are still there by virtue of birth alone, and that is wrong. That's wrong. So we have a long way to go. We can feel smug about going after the US with their particularly backward system that resembles what we had in 1915. But just remember, we've still got a long way to go. We still have an aristocracy. We still have so much big money in politics. And Charles Kennedy, who was head of the Liberal Democrat Party before it betrayed its supporters, he was once asked on Question Time, yes, it was the Question Time leadership, party leaders were on, and they asked him, considering you're running on a healthy eating platform, do you think it's ironic that your party conference was sponsored by McDonald's? And he says, yes, it is very ironic, it is very stupid, and that is why also on my party platform is public funding of political parties. Which is such an honest statement, such a true statement, that you just have to admire it. Kennedy was unfortunately ousted by the rest of his party over rumours of a drinking problem, and replaced by a geriatric idiot called Ming Campbell, who I think is still involved in the party at some level, who is then replaced in another coup by the current guy, Nick Clegg. Nick Clegg, of course, being a Westminster, not Eton or Harrow, which is slightly different. He's privately educated, inherited money, multi-millionaire, just like the other two party leaders. Yes, the head of our so-called socialist party, Ed Miliband, although his father was a proper old-school socialist, he made his money and put his kids in private education and had them basically raised as little toffs. And at his funeral, one of his friends from the old Labour Guard said, "This gentleman, he always said that he should have it, that the Labour Party would betray its working class roots." And sadly, he had two sons to prove that. I think that speaks volumes, and it just tells this one little scene I saw walking around today. This almost perfect picture ruined by this tiny little placard. It's so beautiful yet so ugly at the same time. Like one of my books. It's got a kind of a, I won't say artistry, but a kind of aesthetic quality to it. But at the same time, it's talking in an extremely vulgar way about some extremely nasty stuff that's been going on. And I guess that's my point. My point is, we can criticise America all we like, and we are justified in that criticism for the most part, but never, never forget we have a long way to go to.